deconstruction of the black family structure began on the slave plantation with the total debasement, humiliation, and emasculation of black men as the providers and protectors over their women and children. Black men, bound by chains and weakened by lack of adequate food and weapons, were powerless and defenseless against white men who violated black women and children repeatedly in their presence. And although there were revolts, those efforts were always met with overwhelming defeat, along with an increase in violence waged against black people, and greater punitive measures being imposed on them to deter any future revolts. Enslaved blacks who lived together on plantations, and who had formed bonds and became family members through marriage or childbirth, were often torn apart by their slave masters, who would sell them to other plantations for a profit or other reasons as they saw fit. During those times, blacks had no rights and were considered by law as the property of the white man or woman who purchased them. As such, white men could do with their property whatever they wanted to do, even kill their slaves without any fear of consequence under the law. It was under those circumstances that the seeds of interracial division, gender conflict, disunity, and self-hatred were sowed into the minds of black people against each other. Today, one of the biggest challenges facing black Americans is their declining traditional nuclear families. The chart shows us that in the 1970s, 88% of black children lived in two-parent households, which was higher than the percentages of whites, Hispanics, and Asians. However, by the 1980s and beyond, blacks lost their two-parent household lead and began to decline unabated until falling to its lowest number in 2023 at 36%. Compared to other two-parent households in the same year, whites at 76.3%, Hispanics at 67.4%, and Asians at 81%, it becomes obvious that black American culture is struggling with prioritizing its core values. The question of what is most important to black culture and the advancement of the race must be answered. Consequently, when we dive deeper into statistics to probe for deeper insight, we find that proportionate to their population size of 45.7 million, black children reside in single-parent households at 64%. And for every 1.6 black children, one child lives in a single-parent household, which by contrast to other demographic groups is not a positive sign for the future of black children and the race as a whole. For example, Asian children have an ideal situation and an advantage in that only 19% live in a single-parent household. Despite having a population of 21.3 million people in the U.S., the ratio of single-parent households proportionate to their population size shows that for every 5.3 Asian children, only one lives in a single-parent household. Hispanic children are also in a better situation than black children. Hispanics represent 62.5 million people in the U.S. 32.6% of Hispanic children live in single-parent homes, with a ratio showing for every 3.1 Hispanic children, one child lives in a single-parent household. Whites have the largest population at 252 million people. 23.7% of white children live in single-parent households. The ratio is for every 4.2 white children, one child lives in a single-parent home. Moreover, when we examine the population growth rate for each racial demographic, we see that Asians are the fastest-growing population at 2.9% per year. Add to that the fact that they have the highest two-parent household rate at 81% and the lowest single-parent household rate at 19%, which gives them the best ratio proportionate to their population size. It also shows where they place their priority when it comes to maintaining their traditional nuclear family structure. Second to Asians are white Americans. Although they have the lowest population growth rate compared to all other racial groups, their large population size affords them the luxury of having slower birth rates. However, despite their lagging in population growth, they are keeping their nuclear families together with 76.3% of their children raised in two-parent households. The same positive scenario applies to Hispanic households as well. They have the second fastest growing population at 1.8% yearly, yet continue to maintain strong nuclear families with 67.4% of their children raised in two-parent households. Unfortunately for black Americans, the numbers don't look so good. They have a population size of 45.7 million with an annual growth rate of 0.5%, which is the lowest growth they've ever had since their existence in America. Couple that with 64% of their children being raised in single-parent households, and a ratio that shows that for every 1.6 black children, for the sake of clarity, let's round that number to 2 black children. Thus, for every 2 black children, one of those children is living in a home led by a single parent. Therefore, based on those statistics, we can conclude that black Americans are not performing very well when it comes to building, maintaining, and sustaining strong nuclear families. We can also conclude that black Americans are not prioritizing traditional family development as other groups do, which implies that they do not value traditional family structure. We know how it all started. The deconstruction of black families started in slavery. We got that part. However, after blacks were freed from slavery, they built strong nuclear families and held those families together up until about the late 1970s. So, what happened in the 70s that caused black men and women to change from being inclined to collectivistic ideals to adopting more individualistic ways of thinking and acting? 3 things happened. Feminism happened. Integration as a result of the Civil Rights Act happened, and birth control happened. It was a culmination of all of those things and all that they entailed that brought about the change in cultural norms and values among black men and women. Among those factors, feminism has caused the greatest damage to the traditional nuclear black family unit, as was expressed by Sister Shahrazad Ali. However, despite facing tremendous opposition from other black women for her views, she stood her ground and spoke the truth concerning black men, black women, and the destruction of the black nuclear family.
My position is that the black woman's disrespect and rebellion against the leadership and the authority of the black man is a direct cause of the breakdown in our black family structure. Now, of course, there are many black people who consider those fighting words because as black women, we have never been subject to the kind of examination that our men have been subject to since we have been here. We have been somewhat protected and shielded from any kind of critiquing about our personal behavior, whereas our men have always been up for examination. The book is not an attack on black women. I have never said that all black women do everything that I list in my book. None of us have lived long enough to do everything that I list in the book, but most of us do some of the things that I've listed in my book. And I do say that it is not because of generalizations that we are all victimized by some of the negative patterns of behavior in the book, but the book just represents our collective contribution. This is some of everything that we have done, or that we do daily, that contributes to the breakup of our relationship, the destruction of our man, and the failure of our children to be able to function. They did not tell us that all of that, being my own person and I'm independent, would lead to separation, loneliness, celibacy, and lesbianism. They didn't tell us that if you give up the man, you're going to take one of these things and it's worse and it will destroy your nation. They didn't give us that information. They made us think that it was some kind of glorified position to brag about the fact that I got my own job, my own credit card, my own car, so I don't need no man.
Like the flowers need the rain, like a blind man needs escape, I need you. Like the darkness needs the night, and the moon glow needs a light, I need you. Like the children need to play, they laugh and sing from day to day, I need you. I found out about you. I can't live without you. Like a person needs a soul, like the winter needs the cold, I need you. Like the fire needs the air. I won't burn unless you're there.